I'm Kevin Till, the koi medic, and what we're going to be doing is introducing you on various aspects of koi keeping and koi ponds so that you can enjoy your hobby and learn in the process of how to do it effectively and do it right the first time. So enjoy. Hi everybody, I'm Kevin Till. I'm known as the koi medic, and today with me is Jacques Slobbert. Jacques, welcome, and thank you for being here with us.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
What we really wanted to do today is we wanted to just discuss some elements within pond design and filtration, and then of course we wanted to discuss the HydroSeal products in terms of what product to use as a guideline to everybody. Jacques, let's start off with pond design. First of all, the pond that is in the background, I mean, how do we start with it? A client says to you, he wants a pond in a specific location. So where do we go from there? Excavating, what do we look at? What are the elements, the costly elements that we need to have a look at, and the do's and don'ts?
First, we look obviously what the requirements is of the client and how that pond and how that structure is going to fit in relative to his house. Once we've decided obviously location of the pond, we'll then excavate. The do's and don'ts of ponds is what most people normally forget about is the cosmetics around the pond. Bottom drains. People construct the pond, they forget about the bottom drains. So where we would start is basically excavating, doing all the underground pipe work, doing a reinforced steel mesh with a reinforced concrete. And then from there we can carry on obviously with all the cosmetics, which basically finishes the pond off.
Jacques, why do we need a bottom drain?
First of all is, now you don't put a bottom drain in. Fish are missing, you're feeding, there's leaves, things get saturated, they drop down to the bottom. How do you get that rubbish out from the bottom of the pond? So either through a suction bottom drain, you can, through a filtration system, waste that material that's lying at the bottom, or we can incorporate a setting chamber, which is on the side, which is a much thicker pipework from the bottom drain to a charge box on the side of the pond, which basically, through pressure from the water of the pond, displaces that water into the charge box, and you can then service that charge box from the external side of the pond, which helps with maintenance of the pond.
If I had somebody that just wanted to say, well, okay, I'm going to build a structure, I'm going to dig a hole, I'm going to build a wall around it, and then I want you to come and do the rest of the work. Are there advantages in that? Is there any cost saving in that, or what would you recommend?
No, there's not, because at the end of the day is, if we're going to excavate and we're going to build a person a pond, we need to know what's going into it. I need to be able to guarantee that pond and that structure. If somebody else has now gone and done a concrete shell, what is the MPA of the concrete? How have they sealed the concrete? How have they prepared the soil? All that we're going to take into account. It is better to get somebody like us in from the beginning, which can then excavate, support the side walls, do the reinforcing, put the piping in, and then at the same time make sure that the piping is sealed in the concrete. Because you must also remember, Kevin, the PVC drains that you use to obviously for your bottom drains, and concrete doesn't always marry. So we use the product which is the HydroSeal, which we incorporate into our concrete, which helps cure the PVC pipes into the cement. So going forward, you're not going to have a problem later on where PVC has now maybe vibrated, because you must remember your pumps sucking from your bottom drains creates a slight hammer action, right, which can later on cause maybe a bottom drain to leak. So if somebody else says now put the bottom drain in, I cannot guarantee that it has been sealed properly into the cement, or the concrete underneath is supporting the bottom drain that at a later stage. Because remember, you've got a PVC drain inside the concrete. The pressure of your water can actually make that bottom drain move and allow the water to create a vein which goes into the substructure. Okay. So we do a foundation, a concrete foundation with the piping, with the bottom drain, then the reinforcing, then your casting. So you can make sure that going into the future, you're not going to have a problem with the bottom drain. So
now that we've got the bottom drain set up, we now then need to go towards the filtration side and the mechanical side of the filtration. Yeah. So what do we do from there?
With your bottom drain in place, it means obviously instead of having a weir at the top which is sucking from the top, you've now got a drain that's sucking from the bottom. Okay. Or you've got a bottom drain to a charge box. Your mechanical system allows you to easily maintain your pond. So what will happen is your pump will suck from your bottom drain. It will take the waste, all the waste that's lying at the bottom, it will take to the sand filter, either from your charge box or directly from the bottom drain. Your sand will then hold all those solids, which you like on a swimming pool, you backwash and rinse, which wastes those solids.
Right.
From there, the water is split 50-50. It goes through a biological filter and then through a UV light. The UV light will then help control all bad bacteria that obviously gets built up in water, because you're not using chlorines and stuff and obviously chemicals in the water.
Right.
So you need a UV light, which will help control that bacteria, and then obviously your biological system will help manufacture good bacteria, which your fish feed from. And then going back to maintenance, it's a case of doing a mechanical system, picking up the solids, because the last thing that you want to do is now every week having to take those solids or the muck at the bottom and trying to get that out of the pond. So by regular maintenance, you can waste those solids.
So Jacques, why do we use a UV light then?
Because obviously with a koi pond being a natural system, you can't use chemicals. So you need something to control that algae, the bad bacteria, because obviously the more algae you get, the more it's going to multiply and propagate. So you need to control. So obviously relative to the size of the water, you'll determine what size UV light I need. Because the UV light can handle a certain amount of water to uvinate the water.
Right.
So then you'll determine what size you need to the volume of the water, which will help control algae and the pond going green, and obviously later on maybe creating sicknesses.
So am I right by understanding that this is a natural eco pond? So with this ecology, it needs to be governed by your UV light, allowing a certain amount of the bacteria to be regulated, and so that your eco pond, your pond can be stabilized, your pH, your nitrates, and everything like that.
Yeah, so you got a good balance on your...
A good balance.
Basically a good balance.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. After the sand filter,
Yes.
You split the water two ways, through a biological, through a UV. Because the UV is killing, and the biological filter is manufacturing, a good bacteria, which the fish actually strive from. So if you put it in series in line, your UV light kills, and then you're trying to manufacture. So you're taking your biological system,
Yes.
you're splitting the water in two, controlling and manufacturing. You know,
Now,
makes any sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Now, what I've found as well is that a lot of times I get to a pond and they've taken a pool filter system, and the pool filter has basically, it's the one that's got the little screws on the top, and I find that becomes so cumbersome and the people do not clean it. Am I right that the sand needs to be agitated, not like a pool, just backwash and rinse and off you go again? And of course, the coarseness of the sand matters. It can't be a fine sand, because otherwise it's going to clog the system.
Exactly. That's why you always got to see what the customer's requirements are, how involved is he in his pond. That's what we're saying. With a mechanical system, with a regular backwash and rinse, all right, you are basically loosening and keeping that sand loose. We're saying with the pool filter with the screws at the top, person is more likely to leave that sand not agitated, because it's a mission to get all those screws loose. So by using the right filtration system, the sand filter that has got the easy access screw type fitting on the top,
Yes.
which you can basically take the lid off within a few seconds. You can stir your sand, because what's inclined to happen is as your dirt is going through your sand, it makes a crust on the top.
Right, I've seen that.
So
And it's a hard crust.
Yes, so with a lack of maintenance, you incline, that crust now doesn't start picking up your solids. It makes a vein through the sand, and you're taking your dirt from your pond and you're putting it straight back into your pond.
Right.
Where your sand being agitated and loosened up on a regular basis, it allows that all the waste to line the top. Then when you do backwash and rinse, you can waste it. And keeping in mind, obviously, your koi filter and a pool filter is two different things. The size of the fingers at the bottom are different sizes, because you use different types of sands in the two different types of filters.
The water volume flowing through the filter system, people say it must be done twice an hour, 4 times an hour, that kind of thing. But it really depends on the design of the pond and the location. Lots of leaves, stocking densities, all that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yes, Kevin, that's quite a good question as well, because obviously every pond is unique. And what we do is we allow for, on the pipe work, from the UVs and the biologicals, that you can basically tap open, give more volume, either to the UV, to control if you've got maybe a pond that's giving you too much algae or too much growth.
Right.
Or if you need a little bit of growth, you can put more water through your biological. That's why what we're saying is, from the sand filter, splitting the water in two, through a UV light and a biological, you can control. And you'll get to know your pond. Do I need to manufacture more, or do I need to control more? And if you need to control more and you've got a big volume of water, you can, in parallel, put another set of UV lights to help control the water. So obviously every pond is unique, and as you go along, you get to know it. and obviously we allow for the water volume, and then you can basically allow for add-ons if you need to control it at a later stage.
I think the golden rule out there is that the more your stocking density is, the larger your filter system. The less your stocking density is, you know, the more controlled your filtration system. So you can't over-filtrate.
No.
And hence, of course, your ball valves to control and what have you. Yes. Thanks for that. Now, I noticed that the design, you've built this pond, and the design of this pond is a rock feature. These rocks, are they, you know, they almost look like they're carefully selected.
Oh, absolutely, because obviously in this design, we obviously wanted, the feeling that we want to get is obviously a natural pond.
Yes.
You can go for a formal pond, which gives you more straight lines with formal copings and pots and that kind of stuff. In this garden landscape, we wanted to obviously go for a natural feel.
Right.
So obviously every rock is hand selected.
Okay.
And then obviously we incorporate in the garden, we allow for the waterfall that you see at the back here as well, which also helps with the aeration. Now, as you know, aeration is very important in your pond as well.
Yes.
On a formal pond, you'll go back to maybe a venturi, which will help give you oxygen to your water. Yeah, we've allowed for the rock to implement into the structure and into the feature to help us obviously with aeration at the same time as well.
What I do find also that some people do is they treat it like a swimming pool. So they want to scrape on the sides and brush off on the sides the bacteria, the good bacteria. And of course, part of the oxygenation that we're seeing in the background with the sound of the water, obviously aesthetic reasons, the sound of water, and the way you've designed it almost like a speaker, amplifying the sound as well. You know, the oxygen plays a very important role in terms of your aerobic bacteria. Apart from this, when we talk about, now let's go over to the HydroSeal products. The HydroSeal products, locally manufactured, they have their own manufacturing plant. Danny Williams is the owner of the HydroSeal products, and I find that it's very easy to use. Of course, this is a guideline. You know, some people want to use different products, but for this particular purpose, you know, we're looking at the HydroSeal products. You've been using the HydroSeal products for many, many years, and I know that we've done some pond constructions together and have been really very successful. Some of the leaking ponds out there, what advice can you give to?
Well, the leaking ponds, and also let's go back to the new pond. You've now constructed your pond. You now need to seal this concrete. People have also got their own ideas of what to seal it with. The HydroSeal is a cementagous product, so it means it's cement.
Cement, okay,
right?
right.
You've now casted a cement pond.
Right.
You now seal it with a cement product.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So now cement has penetrated the cement.
Yes.
It's one structure, and it's sealed. So we trim our cement, and we seal it with a HydroSeal, which is a cementagous product. Most people are inclined to now take the cement, then they plaster it. Do you use the right amount of plaster sand in ratio to cement, and then you want to put another product on top of it. Some products form skins on top of the cement, which can later on give you ponds by pulling off. The cementagous products that we do use on the ponds, like we said earlier, around the bottom drains, is cementagous. It penetrates the cement, forms part of the structure, seals your pond.
Right.
With ponds that you do find out there that are leaking, 9 out of 10 times it's PVC that's leaking your pipes, your return pipes, and it's coming back into the pond. They've maybe sealed it, or the plaster's coming off and it's taking the waterproofing product off. We then obviously diagnose the situation. We then come in with yourself, porta ponds, take the fish out, get them out of the water, climb in, assess the problem. Is it structural? Is it maybe just around a PVC pipe? The product then allows us to determine what we need to do. We can either do a hydroplast, which then basically relines the whole pond, and then obviously then sealing it with a HydroSeal product, reseal the bottom drains, and obviously all the PVC pipes leading back to the pond. What's nice about it as well, your curing time is much quicker. So you need 12 hours for it to cure. Because it's a water holding unit, we like to put 2 coats on.
Right.
So today you can put a coat on, you can come back tomorrow, put a second coat on. Day 3 you wash down, because obviously after your second coat you get a little bit of unsaturated powders that hasn't penetrated your concrete, which makes a bit of a white dust. You wash that down. By day 3 you can put your water in. And what's nice about it is it's non-toxic, so it causes no harm for your fish.
Yeah, now that's the department that I often get called out when the fish have been poisoned and becomes a problem. But the HydroSeal products are quite diverse. So in other words, with the product range, am I right, you sort out the problem,
Exactly.
either from construction site or on a leak.
The product helps us obviously eliminate the delay of having things to cure before you can carry on with your next step.
All right.
All right, so it allows you to get your water in much quicker,
Yes.
to get your fish in much quicker.
Yes.
And us at the same time, being a concrete structure, using a concrete-based material, they're marrying each other, and it allows us to obviously get the job and obviously the problem sorted out much quicker.
Jacques, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate, and you know, yet again, this is something that we are sharing with you. It's our careers, it's what we do for a living, and you know, Jacques, just sharing out there and as a guideline to everybody, so that they can have a nice koi pond and an enjoyable pond, and they don't have to spend money again to redo things after it has been done. I think that's the biggest frustration.
Yeah.
But I thank you for your time. You know, so if there's any further advice, of course, one can go onto the website and that kind of thing. But as I said, that's a guideline to help you to have a good, stable koi pond. Thank you.